And I have been married with this lady for an example, for let's say 20 years. We met in school, we dated for about 3 years, we got married. As a fruit of our marriage, we have 4 children or 3 children. We have never stayed home together. Okay? We spend very little time at home because work is calling us all the time. And coronavirus came and we were forced. It was a forceful stay home, that you stay there.
Yeah.
So the wife was at home, the husband was at home, the children are at home, and everyone. We saw a lot of abuse to children we've never seen before. Yeah. The rate at which the domestic violence increased, violence at home, domestically happening at home, increased, were quite alarming. Police came out and released a report. Everyone was saying this, right, children's rights, and all these guys who talk about mothers' rights, children's rights, only men don't have rights. I'm told, yes.
They live every day.
Yes, they don't have, so yeah, but how do we, in this next phase now that we went through 2021, how do we continue to, some people were not able to live together, others divorced. A lot of divorce actually happened in the lockdown than it was supposed to be good. Where do you think was the problem? And how can we begin to mend some of these relationships to actually stay together, given your very intentional approach of leaving a legacy that must supersede your current in this current time and space? And same to you, Pastor Joshua. I'll start with you, Richard.
Well, when Pastor Joshua speaks to purpose, in the mind of this generation, they hear it as a word that has no function. The reason why they hear it as a word that has no function, the function is supposed to be their response to what it means. Not the word, but what it inspires them to do. And so what happens is that we don't necessarily understand life in principle, which is what God does. The Word of God protects principles. There are stories, but if you stop on the story, it becomes cliche. When you find the spirit of the revelation of what it actually means, it carries you through different contexts. So I sense that I'm writing a new book, and it is discussing context and how, when context changes, it requires for content to change. And when content aligns with context, it produces what? Conviction.
Yes.
And conviction causes action.
Yeah.
So there's a relationship between the three.
Yeah.
Now, COVID has brought a context,
Yes.
but we are still putting new wine, which is content,
Yes.
in an old wine skin.
Yes.
So what's going to happen? The Bible says it bursts.
Yes.
So it's a mindset issue that we've not understood that the context has changed, and therefore change content so that the way you act is in concert, is in harmony with the context. Yeah. So if the lockdown happens for 10 years, I was asking business people, especially big company bosses, they were asking me, what do you think this mean? I say, if COVID stays there for 10 years from now, and I was talking to pastors, I said to them, what is your strategy for the church? They had no clue. Why? In their mind, when they had the first lockdown, they thought that if the second lockdown comes, we will get our people in the same context they were in. But what COVID was doing, it was pushing people to move away from crowd following, from single messages of speak to you all one message, understand it, to now the individual, where the understanding has to come from within. But the church did not prepare people to know who they are. So they are meeting the I, but the voice of the we, as according to the word of God, we are Christians, is louder than the I that actually God speaks to through revelation. So now context has flipped. They've never found themselves. What happens? They cannot manage themselves in a new context. And therefore now the new church that is going to emerge out of this cannot deal with mass. It has to go back to the individual, help them find who they are. And therefore the family context now is, how do we help them to know who they are? That man in there, who is he? All the time he's been running to clubs. When there's time for him to meet himself, he runs to social media, he runs to work. But now he's caught up in one space. And they are still.
And we have increased the tax by 12% also, which means social media is also going to be a bit taxed.
So the woman doesn't know who she is. The man has never met themselves. What do you think they are raising? What purpose? What purpose? And this has nothing to do with whether you are Christian or not. I've seen the same problem, whether they are pastors. What? It doesn't matter. Who are you? Who are you? That's why I said that family is an institution, but it has to have an identity. You need to know whether you have been, so that you know what nutrients to take out of the ground. Of the context. If you know that you are wood, you are movule, you also don't take the food, the nutrients of a bean. You know, so know who you are, not for memory that they'll remember you, but for continuity, because purpose comes from cause. When there's a cause, that means there's a need you are solving that goes beyond you. So our family is responsible for protecting Uganda's climate. So we plant trees. So see, so what's our purpose as a family? We are tree planters. What's our family as Gary Skinner? We plant churches that are for the urban. That is vision. That is purpose. Now the kids in Gary Skinner's family know he has raised them to carry that. It's now, if we don't have that in every family, we have an issue. Because what are we then raising? What is the purpose of God that we are talking about? It loses meaning for our generation, especially. So that's why I say that I'm deliberate to understand the cause and then live and build capacity for this to carry the cause. Then I can reorganize myself based on context. COVID has come, I rearrange the house to fit so that we still continue kusonga mbele, because the context doesn't really determine, it's the content that we're going to play. So that's the
Well, while you're joining us for the family talk show from anywhere across the world, you need to know that what these guys are saying here, it's a universal language to everyone. Doesn't matter whether you're Queen of England, whether you're the President of the United States, whether you're the President of Uganda or of Kenya, whatever. It affects everyone. I'm sure right now the learning curve is coming from the Queen of England's house. They have more chaos than the common person today, and that tells you that what you're saying was not being put together. Yes, Pastor Joshua Mugabi, just before we go for a break, we want to dive to you to hear your perspective on that.
You disturb my mind, because I think the beauty about life is that we are all basic. Okay? So the chaos you probably allude to in the royal family, it's just that it's a little more expensive.
But chaos is chaos. Whether it costs 100 shillings.
The same chaos you find in a local family.
I like that. I like that.
In Katanga.
Okay.
And you see, that's the glory of God. Like one man said, yes, it doesn't matter. Even Bill Gates, he puts on his trousers one leg at a time. He's not yet come up with any program. Where
it allows him to put the trousers together at the same time.
Unless he's a skirt.
Oh Lord, so,
But getting not not dwelling again on the issue of purpose.
Yes.
When we talk about health, which we all long for, because talking about context, now everybody wants to be healthy.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to
because COVID has
oxygen,
come. Yeah.
Yes, and all that. And so the thing has exposed. Maybe in the next section, my appeal is using the terminology that we've had is some people, of course, have mild symptoms, and others have heavy symptoms, and then some in intensive care units. Then I also had high dependence units.
Yes, yeah.
So I would want to challenge us to assess our families. In what state are they? Are they healthy? And when we talk about health, it's defined as wellness, intellectually, mentally, physically, socially, emotionally. I mean, the number of factors that would say, yes, you are healthy, because you're a fitness person. Somebody can have a very fit body, but when the wires are not in order, the fitness does not help. Yeah. And yet some are so sharp mentally, but physically they're in total chaos. Yeah. Again, the intellect doesn't help them. And of course, since we usually talk about spiritual people, some are spiritually very astute, very broke, very unfit, like the high priest Eli. Is it Eli?
Chief priest Eli.
Yeah, he just fell off and died. Yeah. And the weight he was carrying was both spiritual, emotional, and that's what killed him. Or I didn't need corona, but the thing, the weight. So we want to live in that set. And so we're asking, what's the health where we are? And again, purpose should have defined when we are getting married. What are we up to?
Wow.
What are we raising? The other day my friend mentioned, said, me, I'm not raising cartoons, because having allowed the children to see too many cartoons, they begin to be
animated.
I said, no, I'm not raising cartoons. I need to get back to raise real children, not American children, but my children. Yeah. And what do I believe? What are the values that I hold that these children must espouse and pursue with all their heart? So what I'm calling us to is, once we assess the health where we are, just like we've done everything to save our brothers and sisters in intensive care unit, high dependence unit, we raise money, we change different things, even diet, to rescue them, to bring them back to a good life. I wish we could have a similar passion for our families. Yeah. And when I talk about family, yes, we do everything we can to make sure that fathers are in order, mothers are in order, children are in order. Make sure my relationship with my wife is in order, my relationship with my children is in order. And also, because families don't live outside the context of community, my relationship with my family is at par with community. Yeah. And again, sometimes we even over push it into community, but the Bible talks about clans, then tribes, then the nation. Yeah. This nation, we need to get back as a member of this family. What's my contribution to this nation? What am I doing? Yeah. And how can I help? So, of course, you saw this joke that ran around. Of course, our leader was accusing the Western world for keeping vaccines from us, and they're about to accuse us from keeping the treatment we've made from ourselves. Yes. But what's my contribution as a family in this whole thing? Because again, like, our morality ultimately is what is going to define. I think I was talking to some people. They're saying, you know, we have very expensive planes on the tarmac. If we sold them, of course, the value is no longer what we bought them for. Yeah. Okay. They would have solved many different things. But I also said, how many of us are driving things that can build a small health center? It's on the road here, and we've gotten driving licenses. They have stickers, but they are parked at home because we can only drive one at a time. And so all that, we are all morally and mentally sick. We cannot do things right. That's why I say, let's get back to healthy life, aligned to God's plan and purpose for our lives, and then we'll go to you.
Wow. Well, if you're joining us from anywhere across the world, we want to say thank you very much. We're going for a break. We want to hear from you. Richard Kawesa, Pastor Joshua Martin Mugabi, Ed Yokela. And I would like to say thank you for those of you guys from the United States, Professor Penina Chayo. And your friend, you said that the show wasn't coming. We are now back. And of course, we brought you, Richard is here. We're going for a break. And when we come back, we will be talking about the relationship between the father and the mother with only girls, and the relationship between the father and the mother with only boys, versus those who have many, and those who have a mix. How do we go forward from this point? What lesson can we pick from them? Why are they very deliberate about what they are doing? And of course, we want you to also share with us what is your experience in this lockdown situation in Uganda. Stay right there. Be right back after the break. People at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials. And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and in the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand.
Yes.
Remember Prince?
Yes.
Prince.
People at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
we're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's book face. Why are you on book face? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials.
Yeah.
And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and in the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand.
Yes.
Remember Prince?
Yes. Welcome back to the program. My name is Eddie Okela, and of course in the studio is Richard Kawesa, not calling him Richard Wekesa. You know, you're very close. Yes. Richard Kawesa, or Kawesa Richard, that's how he prefers to be, you know, as the order of his name. And of course, I would say now, Mugabi, Joshua, Martin, that has become very difficult. But gentlemen, welcome back to the program. And I just want to go to our last part of the show quite very quickly. I want to dig deep into your personal lives and family. Richard, you're a father of 3 girls. How is that going? How do you maintain the relationship in your family in this lockdown? Are there intrigues, like we're hearing from many other families where sometimes mommy and daddy are not seeing, you know, eye to eye, and then you only have girls? Don't they just, you know, if you disagree, they just gang against you and you being the only boy in the house? Or they love you so much that they have even spoiled you with their love? How do you maintain relationship vis-a-vis those who have girls on this side and boys on this side and they are balanced? Particularly in this lockdown where we're hearing a lot of intrigues going on in families, you know, people are divorcing quite rapidly and leaving the children hanging around everywhere and saying, you go with this, I'll go with this. How do we prevent this, and how is it going in your house?
Well, remember when you say that, it's a powerful question.
Yeah.
Remember when you say that I didn't know I had girls?
Yes.
It's because I was raising them as people. So
just generally as people?
Not generally.
Yeah.
I was seeing them as people. Yeah. Like this person. Yeah. Now that one person doesn't have male or female. Yeah. There's no gender. Yeah. This person needs to be just productive and orderly in what they think, say, and do. That was what I kept seeing. So every time I would raise them, I was very deliberate about those values coming to life. So where shoes are when you come in, how your bed is made, is it orderly? Then those are the functional values in our home. Now, because those are functional, we were not waiting for COVID for us to see how we can
reorganize.
Yeah. 2, my kids do homeschool to an extent. There are times when we have spaces in between. So which means I've always lived with my girls. So COVID, and then 3, my work is mind. And so I can work from anywhere. And I've been working from anywhere. At night, I have no time context. So COVID in that sense has been kinder to our arrangement because we don't have the pressure of let's wake up, who's dropping the kids to school. All those are opportunities for conflict.
Yes.
Those ones are not there. So my relationship with my girls is still focused on how do I raise them to be just, productive, orderly. Yeah. And we define being just as permitting others to deserve the best of you. So if now I understand that being just in a home would mean that if I see dishes, I've just been participating in a very powerful bid, and I finished submitting at 10, 2 hours before the deadline, 10 p.m. The deadline was 11:59 p.m. in the night. And then I realized that a certain part of our house wasn't clean. So I went outside, got the mop, and got soap, put in a table, and I went on my knees, and I started cleaning. Now, is that my function? Is that my responsibility? In our African culture context,
it's not.
No. Two, see, I should wake up. Two,
or the maid.
Yeah. The bid I was participating in is a big chunk.
Yeah.
It's a big bid, huge. When you are done with it, you feel like $3 million.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the contrast from $3 million to a maid is a function of what you've agreed to be.
Yeah.
That being just is, hey, this woman has been working hard, she's teaching children and what. Before I used to focus more on my side, but now I keep seeing, I'm like, hey, no, so I go wash dishes. When there's an opportunity, why? Because I'm thinking we are creating an environment healthy for our sanity. If she loses it at this moment, it will affect me. If I lose it at this moment, it will affect her.
Wow.
But if we both lose it,
it will affect the children.
Is there an institution now called family?
No,
there's a house. But there's no family in that house. So that's why I said it's institution, which means it has a mandate that you need to protect regardless of your emotional upheavals and the context. You must protect the vision over and above your emotional challenges. Now, in the absence of the cause, there's no cause for you to bend, and there's no, you cannot sacrifice for anything. You cannot forego. You cannot excuse yourself. You cannot apply yourself. So we are using values in our home to sort of keep some level of sanity. Of health.
Of relationship and health.
That's all. So being that I have girls, I still don't focus. When I realize that they are girls, is when I said, hey, wait a minute. If I continue raising them, the world has already been designed on gender. So I'm doing them a disservice, giving them all this energy inside of self-belief, and they are going to get to the world, and the world is going to say, no, there are boundaries, you are women. That will be a disappointment for them because it will crush their spirit. So I had to create an organization called Girls Flourish and design an entire program for them to see that you are people, regardless of whatever anyone says, you are. So I'm going to show you how I value you by demonstrating that you must flourish. Even in the context where the world has redefined you, you have to define the world on your terms. You are just, productive, and orderly. So for 8 months, I organized the UN, I got government, minister, whatever, all the ministers, 700 people in a tent. This gentleman is always with me. He was the coordinator there. And here they came, I brought them into a big, the front table. They were the ones who were at the front. So you have UN guys, you have the First Lady's Guni who was there to be, all big people, and they're also there. What am I saying to them? So you see, now I'm deliberate. I'm not making money. I am deliberate about what I'm raising. Yeah. If you don't have a cause for your family that is larger than your emotional upheavals, you will run down regardless of what happens. There's nothing that can hold you together as much as a cause of a vision, of a purpose that can. That's how I'm raising.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the relationship. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Pastor Joshua Mugabi, you have heard from Richard, and of course, you know that you are 5 boys in one place with 1 girl.
Yeah.
This one has 4 girls. He's the only man. We don't know what he's
so we are all.
So you see the opposite of it. Pick it up from there. Are you loved so much, or do you hate her so much? Do you love her so much that her love for her has really messed her up? Because that's what usually happens. How's the relationship and the health in your house in this COVID situation, like Richard has said?
It's healthy. It's healthy. And that's another whole story. The number of things. Yes. But I want to congratulate him for learning on how to make love as a man in the kitchen and also on the veranda. And I know men usually talk about making love. They are thinking about, okay, what does red pepper say and the rest? No, but sometimes I say, hey, what are you doing? And say, I'm here in the kitchen making love. And I think, what?
I was like, oh! I'll call you later.
But I said, no. Love in making love is more than what you do in the physical, in the bedroom. The number of facets attached that I must know and understand to be involved in the life of the family. If I don't get involved, we're going to have trouble. So that's a topic for another day. So again, going back, when we were getting married, first of all, I had no guarantee that I'll have children. Because children are a gift from
Pastor, that's God. A very powerful one,
Yeah. So there's no man who gives any woman children, and there's no woman who gives any man children. So if you don't settle that in your mind, you say, give me a boy, give me a girl, give me children.
Asking.
Who
demanding.
You will be in total chaos. You will end up now asking for DNA tests because suddenly your children look like Indians.
Yes.
You don't want to live in that. So but why has God allowed us, me and my wife, to come together? Again, He wants to be the one to be remembered. Remember? Not us to be remembered, but Him.
Yes.
So that helps me. So how do I live? So God gives us children. We had already believed we'll have 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls.
Yes.
And God was kind. Firstborn
was a boy.
So we believe for a girl.
Yes.
Thank God.
A boy.
Yes. And then we do conceive again. And we get a girl, but we miscarry at 5 months. All right? And that has its pain. And those struggles. Did you pray enough? Did you do enough? All the things. But I'm not the giver of life. I am simply a steward. So then, and God can be humorous. On the very day that we lost the girl, a year later, very day,
is the boy.
Is a 3rd boy.
Wow. Compensation. Exact day package.
They have received it. Yes.
So while we are still debating, should we wait? Should we scientifically stop? We get the 4th boy, and this time we say no. There is no more room for debate. Of course, some people say, why don't you pray and believe? Because a prayer of faith by a righteous man. But the issue of we have boys is settled. Are we going to have girls? Yes. When? Originally we said when our boys turn 21, but their pace of being independent has not yet reached a place where we say get married. So maybe that doesn't push forward.
Yeah.
But at least we are guaranteed when they choose to get married, their wives will be our daughters.
Yeah.
And that's what we live for.
Wow.
Wow.
We are raising them up to be able to be independent, to flourish in the way that God has called them to be.
Yeah.
And so, whereas the things we want to be careful what has God wired these children to become, so that they do that out of free will, not out of you're a pastor's kid and all. No, be who God called you to be. And so they've dreamt. Initially, they dreamt to be premiership players in the race, but then other things shows, and you know some of their dreams. I give you many nights to think. How do I add provision to this vision? If I'm to say, there are key things that are important for a family, and we won't have time to go into the detail, but every family needs bonding. Naturally, when a baby is born, they put the baby on the mother. There is that bonding. For us men, our involvement in the life of this little child is part of our bonding. Later on in life, there are other things we do together which bring bonding. But every family must work towards bonding. That oneness and tightness, not simply because you share the same DNA, but because you've done life together, that you're into each other, that you understand each other emotionally, socially, mentally. There's that oneness. So it's important that you bond together. Then the second thing, you need to be intentional to be within the same space, to be together. Therefore shall a man leave his father and mother, and the two shall become one. It's a process, and you must work towards that one. So which will probably involve small little things like plan together, pray together, walk together, go to the fitness club together. There's that place, let's be together. Then the third thing is protecting our well-being. We don't have time to read through a number of scripture that have defined us, but the Bible tells us to protect one another. Don't falsely accuse one another. Sometimes marriages and families are broken because we suspect our children are behaving the way we behaved at their age. And so we are always inquisition and the rest. No, let there be trust, but also openly deal with the truth. Okay, because a number of things. So we must protect the well-being of the other person. And finally, like you said, we must uphold the right values. Family comes first. Not making money. Family comes first. Truth is important. Agreement is important. Don't simply buy me a RAV4 when I want us to build a shack, because I know when the RAV4 is gone, I must be somewhere where I can feel safe, where the landlord is not on my case. Because right now, people are in more pain because the landlords are demanding, and they must demand. I don't blame landlords. The reason they built their houses was to make money from the people who occupy those houses. So if you're in somebody's house, it's your moral obligation to pay. Don't say you see Corona. No, it's the scientists who are seeing Corona. I want to see money, cash. Yes. All right. So I may want to be understanding, but I'm not the charity organization that put up the thing to take care of you. So we must have that. So which calls again to adjustment. Sometimes we need to adjust, and we must be in agreement. So to me, those are key things. Bonding, making sure we'll care for each other, one another. We're intentional on being together in the same space. I've seen some people, they have two cars, the man drives alone, the woman drives alone, has her food at Java's, he has his at Serena, and life can simply drift apart. You haven't quarreled, you haven't, but simply he's in Sese Islands, you're in wherever.
It reminds
Life
me.
has simply.
It reminds me, Pastor, when you speak to the word bond, you've said it 3 times now. So I was wondering whether I need to comment on it, but when you said third, I said I need to comment on that.
Yeah.
A molecule.
Yeah.
In physics.
Yeah.
Biology, physics.
And chemistry.
Yes. All the 3.
Yes.
Okay. So what is a molecule? A molecule, that's why I'm explaining to you what you said, that the family was designed by God. So if a molecule was designed by God, the same is family. So let's look at the natural things of the world to teach us that. So now let's draw from pure chemistry to see how it relates with family. A molecule is a group of atoms. Replace the word family there. Group of family of atoms bound together. Number 1. 2, representing the smallest fundamental unit, family unit, that in a chemical compound, which means the nation, it's a chemical compound, it's bigger. Other molecules are also there. That can take part in a chemical reaction.
Very good.
That can participate in the economy, in a nation. So if you don't bind together, you cannot be a part of the whole. You cannot participate in the whole, the body of Christ from on a national scale, on your clan, at tribal level, at international level, because you don't understand. If we lock down Uganda, Uganda is a family in the international family of the UN. So if we are the smallest fundamental unit representing that, how is our bonding playing a role? How is our interaction playing a role in the over? So when we have unity, it means unity. And unity is bonding. Not because you are the same as the other, but you represent players in a bigger vision of God, of nation and stuff. So if God made a molecule, then there is no way he would not have made a family unit. Because he understood the chemistry of organizing different people playing together, but bond together. So the word bond is a powerful, and that's what we face as a challenge. And the reason why we face that challenge in families of bonding is as we grow, we change. The love we have when we are I do, that you guys are tricking us as pastors. You bind us in a molecule, in a chemical. And then we realize at some point as you grow that you are not growing at the same rate. She is exposed to more corporate world and the forces of earning money than you. She's traveling from country to country representing the company. You are not traveling.
I was trying to look for the chemical terms because for a reaction to happen, I think there ought to be a base. So if she's operating a certain base, you need to know something is going to happen. And that response can be better depending on your attitude. Okay.
But you see, for us as men, our definition is, we've been discussing that in a different, but men respond a lot to stimuli from women. So you think you are the one in control, but it's really, so you are just reacting. So when a woman has transformed, it can't leave the man the same way. And the world we are living,
he shouldn't be working on staying behind. If she's developed from regular level, she's now in premiership.
Step up. Up your game.
If you are local, get professional. so that you can
ouch, ouch,
so that you qualify for Champions League in Europe. Don't simply stay behind.
But that's what we are doing as men.
Scratching and betting, hoping that you will win.
Wow, the family talk show is coming to an end. I want to leave this gentleman by going with one thing. I think the show, for me, you've taken away my stress levels from lockdown. I've learned a lot from the, the molecules and the base and how it works and all this stuff. But quickly, Richard, as we wind up the show, what is your final word? First of all, I'm going to ask you a question. You have been twisting our minds and asking many things here. And today, I wanted to flip this question to you because I really want to discuss this thing going forward. And of course, everyone who is watching the family talk show out there, there's a difference. First of all, what did you say? From male. How do we move from male to man? So, are you a male or are you a man? How do we even know whether you're a male or a man? So I'll start with you. So are you a male or a man, now that we've been discussing this thing about family?
Well, if I tell you that, I'll be giving away a trade secret to a TV show that will be on House of Talent in a few weeks from now. So you watch out for Male to Man as a TV show, and I'll answer that question there.
Pastor, he's being tricky. Let me ask you. So you're in a family. So with all this that we've discussed, are you a male or a man?
Being male is biological. Okay? And by the way, these days those discussions are key and important because some people are trying to redefine family. So they no longer talk about male and female, they talk about gender. And then they become gender fluid, which is absolute nonsense.
Fluid.
Okay? So all this, I think, so yes, when God created us, he created male and female, distinct. So these days we have to emphasize born as a male. Then, okay, everything about you indicates you are a male. Okay, you know that you're going to change your, is it hormonal level? Then you have the
flip this one.
Balance, a new level of maleship or femaleship. I mean, it's chaos. I need to accept, yes, I was born as a male with everything about me male. Yes, I'm a man. Because being a man has to do with taking on responsibility, aligning to God's plan and purpose for my life and living in that. So I'm not successful, I'm not a successful man, or I'm not living as a man if I'm not living in line with who Christ is. Because I believe Christ is the greatest man that ever lived. He didn't even get married, but we still remember him. So I'm not defined by marriage. I'm not defined by whether I have children or not, because some people assume that when you, is it see a child, then you are now a man. No. All dogs men. Because they say puppies. Okay?
Yes, Pastor was praying and fasting. So you came with anointing today.
You can't simply say because I have there's a responsibility. Okay. Like I remember we talked about sin in the beginning and reason. So if I'm a man being, I must be sure that what comes out of me are more beings, man beings. So that's that. So it has to do with purpose.
Wow.
Has to be aligned with God's will for our lives.
Well, gentlemen, welcome to the show, and well, going out of the show, if that word exists. But I wanted to say thank you very much for being part of the Family Talk Show today, growing bigger and better. And we've come to the end of the show, but we want to leave you with this. One, are you building relationship in your family, and how are you doing? You've heard from Richard, you've heard from Pastor Mugabi. But also the biggest question we want to leave you with, which Mr. Kawesa has confused our head here. Are you a male or are you a man? What is it that you are? Do you know? If you can find that definition before that show comes, most certainly you're going to win something from that show. But anyways, from us here, we want to say thank you and stay well, stay focused, keep building relationships in your family. The Family Talk Show has come to an end. Edio Killer, Richard Kawesa, Pastor Joshua Martin Mugabi, missing Asan Sekajolo in the mix. Until next week, stay focused in your family. Don't be just a molecule who just decompose. Stay together.